Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Awaken Heart Podcast. And Happy New Year, everyone. And welcome to a fresh chapter. I hope you're stepping into 2026 with clarity, intention, and a heart open to all the magic and growth this year has to offer. Whether you're still easing your way in or already charging forward, this is your reminder to move with grace, to choose what feels aligned, and to honor the pace your soul is asking for. And what a better way to begin the year than with a conversation about healing, truth, and reclaiming our sovereignty. Today's guest is someone who walks with deep integrity on the healing path. Liz Kerrigan is a spiritual coach, energy healer, and ceremony facilitator who helps people release old patterns, remember who they truly are, and reclaim their personal sovereignty. In this conversation, we talk about everything from plant medicine and microdosing to the divine feminine and masculine within us. Liz brings a grounded wisdom to the healing process and reminds us that true transformation often begins with surrender, self-compassion, and the courage to face our inner truth. We also explore how to navigate this noisy world with discernment, how to integrate powerful experiences like ceremony, and what it really means to live with an awakened heart. This is one of those rich, soul-deep conversations that stays with you, and I'm so honored to share it with you today. Hello, Liz, and welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here as well. And wow, you just got such a beautiful home. And I was saying that earlier, like it looks like one of those backdrops that people pick the backgrounds as a
Like a
background.
like a background. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a virtual background, but yours is real. It's beautiful. Yeah, I used to be in real estate for many years in California. So these are the kind of homes that I would walk into and be like, oh, this is so nice. You're welcome. And then I've seen others in Beverly Hills and the Palisades. They're like $12 million. I'm like, what was this contractor doing? What were this builder doing? It looks like IKEA. Look at this. This is so cheap. No, yours looks very well thought out and beautiful. So for
Thank
those of you who are listening, you'll have to go check out the video as well so you can see what I'm talking about. So Liz, I'm excited about this conversation. You're a spiritual coach, energy healer, and ceremony facilitator. And you help high functioning individuals release patterns that no longer serve them. And you have used spiritual coaching, Reiki, breathwork, trauma informed care, and shamanic plant medicine work. And specifically, you're talking about microdosing. And you lead retreats and ceremonies centered around the divine feminine and the divine masculine balance, which I think is so beautiful and so important. A lot of what I'm passionate about is divine feminine, divine, and then supporting the divine masculine. And I know we have each of those inside of us. So it's balancing it. And I know a lot of women nowadays are so lost in their masculine. While we do need it, because we do need to do things, we are running careers, we have families, we're wives, we're running the household, but so many of us are not balanced enough with that sacred divine feminine energy, or like we're feeling burnt out, we're feeling exhausted, purposeless, and integrating more of that feminine energy in us. It's a softening, but yet there's also a power in that as well. So I'd love to dive into that later in this conversation. But first, I'd love to hear what initially drew you to this work as a spiritual coach and healer. And can you share a moment? Well, first, let's see what drew you into this work.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, yes, I love talking about the divine feminine and the balance of the divine masculine. So I'm excited to dive into that too. What drew me to this work is I was on my own healing journey. I think ever since I was young, I just always felt like there was more out there, like there's something more waiting for us. And so I eventually sort of became relentless on my own healing journey of finding out the answers and figuring out how to heal. And for me personally, I had been in talk therapy for a long time, and I'm a big advocate of talk therapy. I think it's
To a
wonderful
point.
to a point. Like at some point, it does fall short. And at some point, I feel like you can start just solidifying your old stories because you are talking about them over and over again. It's sort of
Mhm.
like signifying to the universe essentially that you want more of that because that is what you're solidifying as your story. And so I just got to a place where that was no longer serving me, and ended up on a meditation retreat. I say that with air quotes because I had no idea what I was getting into. I still don't know what it was. It was a miracle. It was an incredible retreat with a woman named Carissa Schumacher, who is a forensic medium and spiritual guru, really. And wow, she just blew open my third eye. And I had my first real mystical experience and met my lead spirit guide, I'll call her, and just started to really feel into the mystical and mythical realms, which helped me, and I've never looked back. And then from there, as things start to do, I think when you're on a healing journey, if you follow the breadcrumbs, the right teachers, the right people, the right books, the right podcasts just fall into your lap. And so weeks later, I ended up meeting a shaman who I did a mushroom ceremony with, and that just accelerated my healing tenfold. People have said that these plant medicine ceremonies can be like 10 years of therapy in one night, and sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Depends on the person, but for me, it absolutely was. And so from there, I was hooked. I felt like, okay, like I've got a direction, I've got a lot of stuff to work on, and I just dove in with my shaman head first and didn't look back.
And I like how you were saying that you went into your first meditation retreat or your first meditation. It was a retreat, right? Yeah. So you went in that not even knowing what you were getting into. And it almost seems like that is the best way to go into it because you have no preconceived ideas of what it's going to be like or what it even involves or any ways of doing it before. And you went in there with a beginner's mind. And it sounds like you've got your third eye open like that. I mean, I've been to so many retreats and so many seminars. I've done so many meditations, and I still haven't popped that third eye.
Yeah.
I'm so envious of people that have been able to do. I'm like, how did you do that? Like you saw everything. So, and then you went to a mushroom ceremony and it 10x'd you. It was mushroom. And I've done ayahuasca and I've had things happen. I still fall into the same patterns afterwards, but that's pretty incredible. Like going in there and it just like you got set up in your path and purpose right away and everything seemed to align. And I've had other people recently, somebody on my podcast, the same thing happened on our first mushroom ceremony, psilocybin. I always say that name wrong.
Psilocybin.
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 Everybody gets it wrong.
Psilocybin, right?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Psilocybin. And she literally, like, everything was revealed to her. She saw her business and she saw her whole plan laid out before her and she knew what to do and it transformed her entire life. I'm like, geez, I went to two ayahuasca ceremonies and like two each, and my life is a little slower moving.
It's really, I mean, it's interesting. Like with plant medicine, you kind of never know what you're going to get. And
Mhm,
what I tell people is to your point about that beginner mentality, releasing attachment to outcome and releasing anything that you hope is going to happen is the best way to do it.
mhm,
And because you make space for new things to come in that you never thought were possible. And then for me, more than anything, honestly, it's about integration. Those ceremonies
yes.
are merely just a catalyst
Mhm,
for what is possible. And then afterwards, I highly recommend to anyone who is about to embark on a plant medicine ceremony, whether they're experienced or not, to find a coach that can help them integrate everything that they experienced, even if they aren't sure what it was that they experienced. And even if they feel like I don't even think that was a big experience. There's still nuggets there to pull from that you can integrate in your everyday life, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work
Mhm.
and a lot of commitment.
Mhm. Well, most of these retreats, they at least have a follow-up and they do have a support system. A coach is a great idea because then someone always with you outside of the big retreat and whatever programs they're offering, it's just you. And I know there's always like follow-ups and there's, get-togethers after that. The integration is huge. And I know when you're about to surrender to the medicine, you have to say, show me what I've become, like let go, because if you try to have control, you're going to have a really rough time in there. And so I had to do the mantra about surrendering so many different times. And I know the medicine is always inside of you, like you've always got access to that at all times. And how many ceremonies have you done? I mean, I know you do them for other people, but for yourself before you started doing them for facilitating them.
Yeah. I don't know how many mushroom ceremonies I've sat in myself. An uncountable amount. I've done 12 ayahuasca ceremonies.
Whoa.
Um, I've also sat with San Pedro, which is
Hmm. Yes, I know
what,
that one.
yeah, beautiful medicine. Done that twice. Also sat with Bufo and Combo as well, which,
Combo.
yeah,
I've heard that one. The little dots.
that was a tough one for me. I
Yes.
don't know if that one's my medicine, but
I've heard.
everyone's different. So I only did
Ye
that one once. I don't know that I'm going to be called back to that one.
You're like, "Okay, thank you. I
Yeah,
tried it. That's enough."
exactly.
So, as a microdose coach and ceremony facilitator, how do you guide people in working with plant medicine respectfully and safely?
Such a good question. And I am so passionate about that because gosh, it's really interesting right now because the worlds are starting to meld as we start to see, psilocybin being legalized in certain states for therapeutic reasons and somehow also just it's popping up everywhere and being sold even online, right? Everyone for the most part has access to magic mushrooms, so to speak, to psilocybin and which is a beautiful thing, but also like how do we continue to have that access but simultaneously honor the ways of the past and honor the indigenous peoples who have been using these medicines for thousands of years to help themselves and to help others. And it's a complicated line to walk. Like how do we merge the old with the new and show up with integrity and responsibility and compassion? It's a question that I'm asking myself all the time, every day. And I really think that there is so much beauty in honoring the old. For me,
Mhm,
there's no one size fits all way to do this. So for my microdosing programs, it's not like I'm just giving people capsules that it's like, okay, everybody takes this amount
mhm.
and that's how it works. No, every single person that
Different.
I work with is on a very different dose. And that's really important. And it's important to be able to play with that dose because we are evolving and changing all the time. And some days we're more sensitive, and some days we're less sensitive. And sometimes we need more support, and sometimes we need less support. And so, really working with people on a very individualized program and what they need in that moment, I think is the best way to make sure that I'm doing this work with, the most responsibility and the most integrity possible.
Mhm. Yeah, and microdosing is something that you sit with them and do that you give them the microdose, or this is microdosing is something that you can curate for them to because they take them in their daily lives, right? So you set up a program with them for them to take them, and it depends on like their medical history, maybe like maybe their what they're looking to overcome. How does that work? What does that look like?
Yeah, exactly. So, microdosing is when used in a therapeutic type of setting, like how I'm using it, it's very subtle, very, very subtle. So, someone who's on one of my microdosing programs, they are microdosing and they're going to work and they're driving a car and they're doing all the things that they would normally do. And you should never feel like you're on the medicine. If you are feeling any kind of effects, that's too high of a dose and we have to dial it back. It really becomes a matter of merging your consciousness with the consciousness of the plant in such a subtle way that it's just supporting you in the background throughout the day. So, for instance, with like pharmaceuticals, so if someone is going to take an antidepressant or an anti anxiety medicine, especially with like SSRIs, those, and again, I'm not a doctor, but from what I know, those SSRIs are really designed to create homeostasis, right? To take someone who is feeling depressed or hopeless or whatever their symptoms might be and to place them in a safe box where they can sit and feel safe. And so creating levels in the brain that make that possible is really important. And there is a time and a place for that, and I'm an advocate of those medicines when people need them. What psilocybin does is the opposite. So instead of placing you in a safe box, it sort of starts opening up new neural pathways and going in new and different directions that maybe your brain hasn't gone in before. So, intention setting is a really important part of microdosing. I love to tell the story about a client that I had many years ago, but we were working on an intention. I like to set an intention with my clients that they have for a month to 6 months, basically, as long as they need to sort of get all of the answers that they are meant to get with that one intention. So, this client's intention was spirit, show me healthy habits, or universe, show me healthy habits. And I think what she thought she was going to get was that the medicine was going to help her work out more and maybe drink less and show up to work with, a healthy attitude. But instead what she got was the push to really examine her relationship with her mom, was the push to examine her relationship with men and the types of relationships that she was calling into her life. And so the medicine really guided her to sort of look at these other challenges that she was experiencing in her life and clean those up first before a daily yoga practice could come into play, before she could show up to work, feeling happy and good about herself. That it guided her to do these other things first. And so it's really interesting how the intention and the intentionality of this practice can help guide us through the microdosing.
So it goes much deeper than what your conscious mind thinks it wants. It goes to the root of what you need, not what you want, but what you actually need. And it might get messy a little bit as stuff gets cleaned up a bit, but then eventually you'll be able to, like you said, take the yoga class and show up to work happy, but it's going to clean up stuff on a much, much deeper level
Exactly.
to lift your
Yeah,
spirit.
exactly. Exactly.
So what does that look like as far well, it's like I mean, there's pharmaceuticals, antidepressants, so it gives them something to like pharmaceuticals to just kind of like calm their mind or whatever it does that it stimulates. I mean, the pharmaceuticals are so harsh and they cause so many other side effects. I think it's beautiful with the plant because it's natural and it has an intelligence to go in there and open new neural pathways that you never knew before. And I like the fact that it works in the background. I've become very sensitive to anything plant wise. I mean, in a while, I mean, I've done magic mushrooms in the past, like in Hawaii. It was amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
On a beach with surfers, the full moon, the whole party was they grew them there. They were passing them around at the party in a Ziploc bag. Well, that was fun. But I don't think I'd want to take anything like that nowadays without going into ceremony because I can have like my sister gave me a little bag of gummies and I can take an eighth of it and I'm like, whoa, I'm worthless. And then my time shifts. I'm having timeline jumps. It's usually most noticeable when I'm trying to watch something on TV. I'm like, I've seen this before. I know what's happening. Damn it. Did I see this before? When was this released? It just happened to me again. I just took a teeny bit. I'm like, I've seen this before. Nope, it was released last week. I didn't see it. So it's just not a comfortable feeling. And even when I felt that I was getting a little more higher than I wanted to, I even tried to sit and try to pull myself in ceremony, but I couldn't pull the thoughts together to even do that. Like if I'm going to do anything, it has to be intentional now, especially after being in ayahuasca journeys and stuff. So, but why am I affected so bad more now than ever before? Because
Yeah.
the veil's thinner?
I mean, it's yeah, that's part of it. That is definitely part of it. As the veil thins more and more and you're closer and closer to spirit, I think that we become much more sensitive, and it doesn't take a lot
Mm-mm.
to get us to where we need to be in order to connect, in order to open up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it, and I think also, our body chemistry changes too from day to day, and so that's also a part of it, but I think more than anything, it's the more that we go inward and connect with ourselves and have a deeper connection with the universe, I think the less and less that we need the plant medicine to open us up. I think myself, similar to you, I'm on a journey right now where I'm trying sobriety, so to speak. Like, how can I reach the same places that I've reached with plant medicine without plant medicine?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it's possible.
I do
And
too.
and
Breath
so
work.
breath
Oh
100%.
my God, I've gotten there with breath work. In Bali, shamanic breath work, like, I'm
Totally.
like, I see Jesus.
Yeah, 100%. I've had bigger experiences on breath work than I've
Yeah.
had in ceremonies before, to your point. I think also forms of yoga and chanting, like all of that stuff can get us there. Even just a deep meditation can bring us to those places. I worked with a shaman once that brought to my attention that DMT is something that is naturally created in our bodies.
Mhm.
And she said that putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth helps to activate our
Yeah, I've
own.
seen this, like,
Yeah,
and then you're doing the right?
right, right,
Breath of
yeah.
fire.
The breath of fire, yeah. And so you can activate that DMT
It's like a
in all of us. Yeah, and have those experiences, and so I'm fascinated by that for my own personal work right now, because
Mhm.
I do think you reach a point where everything is a tool, and just like with talk therapy, like that got me to a certain point and then moved on to sort of plant medicine and other modalities, and that gets you to a certain point. But at some point maybe you've been in the canoe rowing across the river or whatever it is and you get to land, you don't need the canoe anymore. So you can let that go and it's time to maybe pick up walking
Yes.
stick or something else as a new tool.
Yes, and I agree, and I see a lot of people that will keep going back to it because they're not integrate it's like a crutch. They become so reliant on it, and the experience is that they don't take what they need from it, and I don't know, they don't it's the same with, like, Tony Robbins retreats. They're going they're, like, facilitating with them, they're following them everywhere, like, where it becomes your guru. So, but there's a time when it's like, "Okay, I don't necessarily need to go and do that." They're not really listening to the call. They're like plant medicine calls to you when you're ready. Like, I don't feel a call to necessarily do plant medicine again or s the s psilocybin. I said it right.
You got it.
I might be interested in doing that ceremonially because I haven't done that yet, but ayahuasca, I don't feel a pull to that. I feel like she's inside me, and I feel like I can access that level through breath work or another way. And drinking that medicine, I'm like, I just can't. The ceremony's beautiful. Love the ceremony. It's beautiful, like with the ketos and the whole it's so beautiful. 6 hours of just being loved, bathed and loved. So
It's so
I know there's a lot of misconception around microdosing and, plant medicine. So what are some common misconceptions that you encounter around plant medicine in the healing space?
Yeah. One of the most common misconceptions, I think, as it relates to a macro dose, so like a bigger dose, like a ceremony dose that we're talking about, is that, okay, I'm going to go to ceremony and it's going to fix all of my problems. And I'm going to figure out everything that I need to do.
Beginning
I'm going to feel immediately better and everything's going to be fine. And I think there's a lot of that in the zeitgeist right now. There's a lot of that in the media of people who are saying like that they did this one ceremony and they were fixed and everything was better. that is a really dangerous misconception. I feel that it's extremely important for people to, just like you're talking about, you really have to have the call to work with these medicines. I always say, like, you need to feel like the medicine is knocking at your door on a daily basis, and there's no avoiding it. And I do tell people, you're always going to be scared. Like, the ego, our voice of fear part, is always going to be nervous about the unknown. So it's okay to feel that fear, but you need to feel like the medicine is really calling to you, is really pulling you in. And when that happens, then it is time to go to ceremony and to find a facilitator or a retreat that you trust. And then from there, it's really letting go and trusting that the medicine is going to bring you what you are meant to receive at that time. But instead of it being this big, giant, life changing explosion, what we're really looking at is just taking the next step on your soul's journey. It's like the next step on your soul's path. And so a lot of times I'll work with people who are like, I want to go big. I want to go hard. I want, like, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to spend the money, if I'm going to, take this really powerful medicine, like, I want to climb to the top of the mountain and I want to do it in the hardest way possible. It's like, no, we don't need to do any of that, actually. Let's take the easiest way up the mountain possible. And let's just maybe go halfway up the mountain. Like, where's the next step that we're meant to go? And we just aim for that. Or sometimes I'll use the analogy of, like, let's not go 10 bus stops down. Let's just go to the next bus stop.
Mhm.
And so we're working on something that feels more manageable and less like we're doing a whole giant life, upturn, explosive experience. And so I think that's probably the biggest misconception.
Yeah, and that analogy of going to the next best bus stop really makes sense, and you can someone can imagine, "Okay, I'm just gonna go to the next bus stop," instead of, like, they're trying to get to the finish line before they've taken the next step or gone to the next stop.
Exactly.
Yes. And as far as ceremonies, can you talk about the ceremonial aspect of healing, and what does ceremony mean to you?
That's a fun question. Ceremony to me means participating in a sacred ritual that is held in a loving, energetic container. And so, what's required in order to create a loving, energetic container is an experienced facilitator, whether that is a shaman, or it is a group of indigenous elders, or it's an experienced shamanic practitioner, or someone who has a lot of experience in holding space, is really, really important. And I think that we use the term holding space all the time. That term has almost gotten to a cringy place, I think, for
Mhm.
some people, because we overuse it. But working with someone who understands how to create a really tight energetic container is important, because during ceremony, the veil is so thin. And so there's room for lots of things to come and go. And what we want to do is we want to be working with a shaman that knows how to lock that space down so that all that we are experiencing is what we are meant to experience for that next step on our soul's journey. And those things, even though they might be hard, are all brought to us in love. And that experienced ceremony leader is also going to know and understand how to help someone through a potential roadblock that they might come up against, or something scary that they might come up against, and is able to potentially bring in energy work and things like that to help not only work through things verbally, like in the literal realm, but also work through things in the mythical realm. So that's something that's really important, I think, in ceremony work, is being able to work with someone who can bridge the gap between the literal world and the mythic world, who can
Mhm.
bridge the gap between what we're experiencing on this earth and the bigger picture that spirit also has at play for us.
Because like shamans, if they're facilitating, they know how to walk between worlds, and a lot of times the ones that I did it with, they do the medicine themselves. I'm like, "How can they do?"
I
How
know.
can they do the medicine and still help olives and keep facilitating this beautiful ceremony? And oh, I just couldn't imagine. But yeah, they do it. They know how to walk between worlds and keep that a container for that energy. And I feel like I've seen some of where it's become very commercialized, like, oh, let's go to Costa Rica and there's 200 people doing it. That sounds like a nightmare to me. I had a small container of like, I think there were two shamans, and then there were two other people helping to facilitate it, singing and like facilitating. So, and we only had 10 people. So that smaller container was just good for me because when they start throwing up, I'm in hell. Even if I'm
Yeah.
integrated, even if I have the medicine in me, I'm like, I know they're throwing up. My head is not being inches with close to that other person. So do you facilitate ceremonies as well? Do you do them by yourself or do you work with a shaman or another curando? Is that how you say I'm not good with my words. Curandos?
Yes, yeah, you are. You are.
Curandos.
Um, it depends on the ceremony. I do a lot of one-on-one work, and that I do by myself. So the shaman that I initially did my first ceremony work, I ultimately ended up convincing him to take me on as a mentee. And
Mhm,
so he mentored me for years. And so I love and get very passionate about that one-on-one work, holding space for one person. And in that way, I'm able to customize the ceremony specifically for that one person,
mhm.
which can be really special and really beneficial. And that bubble of love is so tight so that they can have the experience that they're meant to have without having to worry about other
Yes.
people around, also going through an experience like
Yes.
when you're I always say, like, when you're
There's
at a
demons in here.
you're at a bigger retreat, it's like it's not a team sport, but kind of it is.
Yes, like, "Can you stop moving around over there? You're taking me out."
And I think, ultimately, whatever happens in ceremony is meant to happen. So if
Mhm.
we are feeling activated by someone else who is doing something, there's a lesson in that for us. But also, I
There is.
kinda just wanna just not have that happen.
Exactly. So many times.
Just focus on your own experience. So that's beautiful. And then I'll do a little bit of a larger retreat, maximum 8 people, and that would be myself and another facilitator,
Mhm.
another shamanic facilitator who I love and trust. And those can be really powerful, really powerful.
Mm. Have you gone down to, like, South America to partake in any of these ceremonies?
Yes, yeah, I have.
Where have you
Went
gone?
to Brazil outside of
Mhm,
Rio and went to a beautiful retreat center, led by the Yawanawa tribe,
mm,
and did a week of ayahuasca. So it was 3 sittings along with a few other plant medicines, and I have to say, like, going to the source,
mhm,
in my opinion, is the best.
mhm.
It really is, like, that will remain in my life one of the most magical, beautiful, loving experiences I've ever had.
Because they've used them for years, centuries, like, it's passed down from one ancestor to the other, so it's ingrained in them as a person, and it's birthed there, and it's not just birthed there, it's encompassed there, like, it's part of their foundation of who they are. Yeah,
Exactly.
I
I
can
think
see
that's
how that.
it. It's like
Mhm,
it's so effortless for them, and when I was there, we had the chief who was there leading as the lead shaman, but we also had all of his kids there who were the musicians.
mhm.
And so it was this beautiful, like, family affair that I think also added to the loving, energetic container that held us so tightly.
Beautiful. And I know in your work that you help high functioning individuals release deep rooted patterns. I'd like to hear what are some of the most common patterns people don't realize are holding them back?
Yeah. I think some of the most common patterns all come back to self-love, self-worth, right? Like, I think for a lot of people, it's so easy for these patterns to sort of creep in And for us to not realize, oh, darn it, even though I've done so much work, there's still an element of me not believing that I'm worth it, not believing that I deserve the magic. And I don't know if you've read Existential Kink.
Mm-mm.
It's a beautiful book, and I'm forgetting the author, which is terrible. I should
What is
look.
it called again?
Existential Kink.
Kink?
Yeah, it's interesting. It is a I will say it is a fresh
Let me
and
look it up.
it's like a fresh and very different version of shadow work. And I don't know if I believe in all of the methods that she suggests because some of them are uh feel like I didn't relate to all of them, but one of the things that she talks about in her book is havingness, which I think is really interesting, and she talks about, like, what is your havingness level? So,
Okay.
what do you, like, actually believe you deserve? How much happiness do you believe that you are able to have? And so is it, if you close your eyes and imagine like, okay, if 100% is the whole world and I can have everything that I've ever desired, where do you stop yourself
Mm.
on
Mhm.
that happiness meter? Are you around 40%, 50%? If we're being really honest with ourselves, like where do we sort of like cap ourselves? And I think that we're all doing that all the time without knowing it.
Yeah, because we think we don't deserve it, or who do I think I am? Or, not everybody has that, oh, you're reaching for the stars, like, and then you hear the old conditioning patterns that you might have heard from your parents. And yeah, we stop ourselves, or it's not attainable. Where do most people you see them when you first start working with them, where do you think they are on that meter?
I think 50% or below.
Wow.
50% or below, yeah. I was actually just in a class recently where they ironically were also talking about having this levels, where they were also talking about having this levels. And we all did that exercise where we closed our eyes and felt into where we were at on our having this meter. And even myself in that moment only got to a 65% if it's out of 100. And that was really an interesting experience for me because I was like, "Wait, I've done so much work. How could I still only be at a 65?" And so, part of what they instructed us to do in this class was just go in and push it up to 100 and just let that meter guide the way. And so I think that that is something that we can think about in our daily lives is like, okay, in this moment, where am I at on the happiness meter? And can I just crank it up to 100 and do that over and over and over, even if it's, 50 times a day?
So with that, they're coming in with all this feeling that they don't deserve, and the havingness is at 50%. And we know that the world has got a lot of noise and censorship and distraction, not to mention what they have going on in their own lives. What does reclaiming personal sovereignty look like in practice, and how can people begin to tune into their own truth?
Yeah. I love this podcast. I love these questions.
Thanks.
It's so wonderful for us to
Oh,
be thinking about this all the time.
yay.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
To your point, I really feel like it's so important now more than ever to block out the external noise. The world is a scary place right now. It feels very scary, especially if you're a doom scroller or a news watcher.
Yes.
God,
That was me back in 2020 and 21. Well, I didn't believe all the stuff that they were putting at us. I saw what was happening. But anyway, but yeah, it can be rough. You have to pull yourself out of it. I went rabbit hole for 2 years. I came out of it. Now I'm able to sleep better and pull out of at 30,000 feet. But yeah, I understand what you're saying about doom scrollers, and there's a lot of them out there. There's always something happening in the world. And I did hear something. I'm going to let you get back to that because I'm thinking of it and I have to talk about it before I forget about it. But how we were really only made to not be omnipresent. We were made to like live in a society. Maybe there's 150 people. Like like in our tribe, in our community. And yes, we can say prayer and raise our vibration and all that, but and it's sad to see what's going on in the world, but how is what's going on in the Congo going to really, how am I going to really be able to affect the change that's going on over there, or something that's going on, what's going on over in Ukraine or the Palestine? Like, what is protesting in the streets really going to do for it? So I don't know. The person that talked about that said it better, but it's just like, keep your energy high, keep praying, send out this beautiful, loving energy because there is power behind it. Heal our hearts, and we radiate from our hearts pure love. It's got a potent effect. But go on. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, I love everything that you're saying, and I couldn't agree more. I feel that personal sovereignty plays into exactly what you're talking about. It is our responsibility to heal ourselves. I think more important than protesting, more important than posting on your social, it is really important to go inward. And as we heal ourselves and raise our own vibration, we help raise the vibration of the planet.
Mhm.
And so that really is the best thing that we can do. And when we go inward, we get to know ourselves better. And so then we are able to make more sovereign choices because we know who we are and we're connecting with our true self, and true self is connecting with the universe. And so we're able to see that more zoomed out perspective as opposed to being spoon fed the fear and scarcity that I think the media wants to deliver to us.
Yes, keep us distracted, and it's a frequency war. And we're energetic, vibrational beings, and we raise our energy sky high. The forces or the whatnot, they have no power over us. And the only way they can keep power over us is to keep us distracted, keep us against each other, keep us polarized, wars, conflict. It's an upside down world. It really is. It's a Black Mirror episode.
It totally is.
It really.
You're exactly right. And I think being really aware of how like our internal cycles mirror the earth's cycles as well. And how can we be more in tune with Mother Earth? And that can be a really beautiful place to start, I think, when it comes to personal sovereignty. So to go back to what you were saying before about, tribal environments where there were so many less people, they were focused on earth medicine and the rhythms of the earth and
Mhm.
aligning our heartbeats with the heartbeat of the earth and allowing that to help heal us and guide us. And we get so far away from that. And so I think like even if you live in the middle of the city, can you find one patch of grass to just put your bare
Mhm.
feet on and connect your heartbeat to the heartbeat of Mother Earth and just allow yourself to feel that energy and see if you can even if you're walking on concrete, can you match the earth energy to your own and just sort of like be aware of that vibration that exists because that's the stuff that heals and that's the stuff that helps us create that sovereignty.
That's beautiful, and that segues so perfectly into discussing the masculine and feminine energies and balancing those. And I love talking about this because it's at the core of who we are, and we've forgotten it. It's just remembering that beautiful essence that's inside all of us and honoring them in each other. How do you see the divine feminine and masculine playing out in the collective healing today?
I feel that there's that it's really important to understand the difference between the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine and the divine feminine, the divine masculine. I think that right now in the world, we're seeing a lot of the wounded masculine play
Hmm.
out, but
Yes.
also wounded feminine. I think the wounded masculine's like right in our face right now.
Hmm.
And so it's important to know how we don't want to feel in order to know how we do want to feel. And that divine feminine is so important right now as we create our own personal sovereignty and we let go of maybe the wounded masculine that's sort of being pushed into our lives and into our faces right now, how can we show up with a level of surrender? That surrender is such a complex word because it's like it's a verb, which is like the opposite of what surrender is, right? Is sort of like not doing anything. But at the same time, there's this level of needing to show up. So surrender doesn't necessarily mean that we're just like laying down on the couch and
Right.
eating
There's
chips.
so much power in the surrender because you're allowing everything to flow to you.
Exactly. But you have to show up. You have to
Mhm.
show up, and it takes so much bravery to surrender and to let go.
Mhm. Mhm. 'Cause you're stepping to the void. You're in the unknown at that point
Exactly. Yeah, to
and
release.
trusting. That's the feminine, trusting it and allowing it, surrendering. So beautiful.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's what we need when we can do I think that when we can surrender, that the divine feminine comes first.
Mhm.
So when we can surrender and receive, then we know what actions to take. As so for someone who I think is looking for like how do I do this? How do I bring more divine feminine into my life? It really is starting with the examination of surrender and playing with that idea of what it looks like to surrender and receive. And then once you've experimented with that divine feminine energy, I always say it looks like it's like palms open, you know? Yeah. So
Mhm.
you like experiment with that, then bringing in the divine masculine, which will guide you on what actions to actually
Yep,
take.
inspired action, inspired from the feminine to do the inspired actions via the masculine.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful, all working together. And I know that you've held retreats centered around the divine feminine. What does that energy represent to you?
Gosh, to me, the divine feminine feels like such a strong, powerful
Mhm.
energy. It's so funny. Like before I started any of this healing journey, I thought strength was like,
Man.
right, like, oh, like no pain, no gain, right? Like we really have to white knuckle something and like don't cry. Like that's real strength.
Mhm.
And then, as you start this healing journey, you learn that real courage, real bravery, real strength is in the surrender,
Mhm.
in the letting go, is in the trusting. And so that is the most beautiful thing that a person can do, I think, is to fully let go.
Mhm.
And that is, I mean, that is real strength.
And I just thought of something as far as the strength, how we used to think is ho ho ho, this big manly man. Women are like weak, they're not strong. Women are some of the strongest beings on this planet. And strength, think about it, surrendering to the birthing process. You are surrendering to this being born outside of you. Like, how incredible is that? Do you have kids?
I don't, but
Me neither. Me
I
neither, but I have
really
animals.
want
But
them.
I'm in awe. Now whenever I see babies that have just come over, I'm like, "Oh, you were just on the other side.
Me too, I
Can
love
you
that,
tell me something? You're
totally.
staring at things. Who are you seeing? What are you seeing?"
I just met a friend's newborn the other day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're a human. I'm sure this is
Mhm.
really complicated for you." Like, just sort of like, "It's okay, you're doing great."
Yes, you're doing great, baby. Yeah, and I've heard a lot of the children coming in now are the star seeds. There's like star seeds, and they're coming in like fully aware and attuned of who they are. And I know a lot of stuff that's happening nowadays is suppressing that because whatever you believe in or whatever you like, the powers that be, the dark forces want to keep that light from shining. And, I think that's why we have without getting controversial, I'm not going to get into the subject very much, but that's why we have all these medical interventions like at such an early age. I feel like it's taking it's really hurting their spiritual growth or who they are as divine beings. It's kind of putting this whole dusty layer all over them at such an early age. It's so sad.
It is so sad. It is so sad. And I completely agree with you. And because now more than ever, we need everyone's light to shine as
Mhm.
bright as possible. I think that this is the moment for any and all light workers to heal themselves, bring as much self compassion as you possibly can to yourself. And what do you need to do to step out of your own way in order to shine your light? And even if you aren't a professional light worker who's making money doing that, like, you know who you are. You know that you are lighting up the people's lives around you. And that is enough. Like, that is what we need now more than ever. And so, gosh, as much as we can do that for the next generation and for all of the children that are being born now, it's like, yes, please, that is what we need.
Mhm. Beautifully said. Yes. Yes. These beautiful babes that are coming over that are going to teach us so much. And yeah, the feminine energies. Let's what does that look like in how do you see it, the balance of these energies? What does a true balance look like, both personally and in partnership?
I think that, gosh, it is always sort of changing, right? Like I feel like these energies are fluid. And so it's constantly an internal balance that is happening. And what does someone need in that moment? It's not really something that can be fixed. Like we always need this much feminine energy and we always need this much masculine energy. And if you just do that, you're going to be fine.
Mm.
It's sort of like, I think, more about feeling into what each day calls for from an internal perspective. And some days call for more feminine energy, and some days call for more masculine. It's sort of like when you're in a yoga class and after Shavasana and they have you roll over into fetal position.
Oh,
Are
such
you, I know, it's the best.
a nice day.
It's like, are you going to roll over on your feminine side, on your left side, or are you going to roll over on your masculine side, your right side? And depending on what you need that day, you choose. A lot of times I just choose feminine because that's my default. But some days I need to roll over on my masculine side because that's a day where I need to be doing and
Which
taking.
side is like rolling over to your right side? What
That's masculine.
I'm always in my masculine. That's my side. I'll roll over to my right side.
Yeah. I think that's the go to for a lot of people. If the instructor doesn't cue what each side means,
Oh, I never knew that.
yeah. Yeah. The right side is the masculine and the left side is the feminine.
I gotta pay attention to where I hear hits of intuition. It's a lot of times it's on this side, sometimes on this side. The devil on a shoulder.
Yeah. 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 So
Well,
yeah.
well, I've loved our conversation. Just a few more questions. I would like to know, how do you define sovereignty in the context of your work? And how do people begin to reclaim it? Did we already talk about that? I don't know if we talked about it in your work. I know we talked about sovereignty.
Yeah, defining sovereignty in my own work has been a journey. I think sovereignty in general is a journey, regardless of the context. And so, in the beginning, I was working with a recipe that was passed down to me from a shaman, and that was really beautiful and really helpful. But maybe I wasn't fully sovereign in those moments. And then as I began to branch out into other modalities like breathwork and Reiki and trauma informed, care, things like that helped me create my own brand, so to speak, of what I want to share with the world and how I can help people. And the more that I became familiar with that, the more I was able to operate in a sovereign way. And I think that goes back to the very beginning of our discussion, which is, just like with a microdose, everybody needs something really, really different. And it's about, I think, full sovereignty is being able to get in touch with your true self so that you can open up and receive the information that you're meant to receive from spirit. And that unique and information that comes in just for you, if you can take that and follow that, boy, like
Mm.
you're in sovereignty.
Mhm. Mm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm gonna use that.
It's sometimes it's easier said than done, right? But
Right?
yeah.
What does that look like? I mean, it looks different for every person. So you feel like you're connected and talking with spirit, and then it's guiding you to do something that's just for you. And then that is, you're doing it aligned with your own sovereignty because this is the message that's coming straight to you from spirit, just to you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of us needing to release our ego,
Hmm.
which I also call the voice of fear. And so, really letting go of those personality traits that are the self limiting beliefs, right? The stuff that tells us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not thin enough, we're not rich enough, whatever those self limiting beliefs and stories are that tend to be on repeat. It's really releasing all of that and then listening to the voice of love, which I define as true self. And when we can step into true self, which is really like the essence of who we are, it's that place where we know before we know. It's that place that feels like divine parental guidance. Like if we were going to be our own incredible, like the best parent of all time to ourselves, that's our true self.
Hmm.
And when we can step into that place, we leave so much space for the highest power to come in and bring us messages.
Hmm.
And it comes to people in different ways, right? Like some people can hear those messages, some people can see those messages, some people can just feel them, but we're all psychic in our own way and we're all able to receive information from the highest power, from spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. And when we can feel that information and trust it and follow it, that's the magic.
Hmm.
That's the magic. That's where we're all meant to be. It's always going to guide
Oh,
us.
it's such a beautiful thing when I don't stay in it all the time. Like the journey is just such a spiral or a rocky road. It's like a roller coaster always. But when I'm in the flow, oh my God, everything just like lines up and then there's synchronicity and taking that, knowing that it's divinely led or listening to spirit. It's such a beautiful, I keep saying beautiful. It's such an amazing place to be, and I felt that in moments of time. I wish I could live like that all the time.
Me too.
We can always tune back in and
Yes.
and be there, and it's always waiting for us when we're ready.
And that's really like what it is to be human. You know what I mean? Like we can't be in this beautiful spiritual place every second of our
Because we're
lives.
here on this earth.
We'd float away.
Yes.
and so and so that's part of what it is like walking that fine line, walking with one foot in the literal and one foot in the mythic. And how
Mhm.
can we be connecting to the beautiful, energetic river of love that is flowing to us at all times. And
Mhm.
sometimes, we just have to check in with ourselves over and over and over again. I like to use transitional moments as those moments of like checking in and sort of realigning. So, like, if you get up to go get a glass of water, or you're walking to your car, or you're going to the bathroom, or whatever it is, those little mini breaks in the day, using those as opportunities to just check in and sort of like see if you can connect with true self and allow spirit, allow the universe to flow in those moments. And you just
Mhm.
keep doing it over and over again, and it helps.
Mhm. So if I were to be watching TV tonight, I get up from the couch, just consciously tune in as I'm walking over to get my water glass. Is
Exactly.
there a mantra or you just become very present?
I suppose it could be whatever mantra you want it to be, right? Like the first one that comes in is spirit, thank you for guiding me,
Mhm.
or universe, thank you for guiding me, whatever language feels right or feels best to
Mhm.
you. And when we start with a thank you, that's also showing our trust
Yes.
that it's like it's happening.
Yes. Yes. Well, for those that are feeling stuck and is just beginning this journey, what's one step they can take today to begin reconnecting with themselves?
I think it's self-compassion. I really believe that self-compassion is one of the most important ingredients on a healing journey. And the more that we can let ourselves off the hook and connect to and understand why we are where we are and why we have maybe the negative thought patterns or the depressive thoughts or whatever it might be that you're going through, can we have compassion for why we got to that place and really feel into the fact that that is going to help us on our journey? Every moment is an opportunity to either learn something and grow or to feel like a victim. And I know that no one wants to feel like a victim. And
Mhm.
so, in order to really reclaim our power and start our healing journey, we have to go inward and send so much love to ourselves and to our past and honor all of it, even the hard stuff, so that we can release it and make space for the new.
Mhm. Mhm. It's the compassion is being gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. We are so hard on ourselves. Oh, this has been a really amazing, insightful conversation. And I love everything that we've talked about the microdosing and the ceremony and sovereignty and masculine, feminine. So I would love to hear for my audience where people can find and work with you.
Yes, thank you. This has been so much fun. I wish we could do it all day.
Well, I'll have to have you back on again. A
I
lot
would
of
love
things we can dive into.
I know there's so much. I my website is the best place where people can find me, and that is mysoulpurposenow.com. And I actually have chosen to stay off of social media. So my
You're
practice
so lucky.
it's been built completely by word of mouth, which has been a choice. And maybe one day that will change. But for now, I've stayed off of social, which
So lucky. Oh my god. It's
it,
fun, but then it's a suck. It really is. Like, it sucks and it's a suck.
yeah,
It really
yeah,
is. The
yeah.
algorithms and fighting those and, like, people are all in the trends, and I find that a lot of the soul work or a lot of the conscious base, this stuff, it's not getting out there. It's a lot of the fluff that's finding its way around. So when you have something heart-led and heart-centered, it's getting pushed down to the bottom.
Right, right, exactly. And so I've stayed off of it. But yeah, mysoulpurposenow.com, and soul is spelled SOUL.
Okay, wonderful. And I will have those on the show notes. And I have, well, before I go into my last question that I ask all my guests, I would love to hear. I mean, everything's lighting you up that we've talked about, it seems like. But is there anything in particular right now that you're working on, or maybe something in your own personal life that's lighting you up right now in your work or in your personal life?
Right now in my personal life, I am working on connecting with my inner child,
Mm,
which I've done before, I've done in the past, and it's been beautiful work. But I recently connected with my 4-year-old self, which was
mm,
really interesting because I didn't know that she needed me.
mm.
And so I've been able to connect with that part of myself and show up for her and begin to reparent her and be there for her in the ways that she needs. And that has been really beautiful and really helpful. And so, sometimes I think we get so far down the path and maybe we missed some fundamentals, so to speak. This sort of feels like a fundamental element that maybe I missed along the way, and it's really lighting me up and it's been fun. I even went back and watched a couple of episodes of the original Care Bears to like be there for my 4-year-old self, and that was like really cute and fun and nostalgic and also a little emotional.
Oh, Care Bears. So were you a late 70s or 80s baby? Because wasn't Care Bears like an 80s?
It was the '80s, yeah.
Okay.
Born in '82.
Oh, I'm a 1970 baby, so I knew that
I
was past my time.
Oh my gosh, you look so you're so young.
Oh, thank you. Yep, 55.
Oh my gosh, you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. The last question before we go, and that is the name of my podcast. And it's asking you, what does it mean for you to live with an awakened heart?
An awakened heart to me really means self compassion and self love. I truly believe that when we can love every part of ourselves, even the hard stuff and the stuff that we might not want to love, that is when we have a truly awakened heart. And
Mm.
then really love others to our fullest capacity.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful. And when you have compassion towards yourself and you're loving all parts, and that's not just when it's oh, this is my pretty part. This is when I'm a good girl and Miss Perfect or whatever. That's good. I hate this part that can be like angry or selfish. You got to love that part as well because it's all part of the whole. Well, without the other one, you wouldn't have the other, the light side and the dark side. Oh God, there was a book that I read, The Light Side. Oh, the geek. I can't remember. I don't even know why I tried to try to remember that. Like, but yeah, we need those parallels in order to appreciate the other.
We really do. Those parts of us are exactly that. They're a part of us. And so it isn't unconditional love if we're only conditionally loving the parts that we like, so to speak. Like, how can we love the parts that are hard to love as well? That's real
Hmm.
unconditional love for ourselves.
Hmm.
So I think there was a time in my life where I was just walking around repeating the mantra, I'm letting myself off the hook. I'm letting myself off the hook. And I had to do that like 100 times a day. But it helped because I think we can hold ourselves to such high standards and we're so
Hmm.
hard on ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think to have a fully awakened heart, we have to just like go easy on ourselves.
Hmm.
Just shoot some Care Bear love. Like,
Shooting some Care Bears. And then you'll shoot it at some other people, Care Bear love, because if you can be compassionate with yourself, you can recognize that in somewhere else and just know that they're reacting out of some childhood wound or something and have compassion for other people. And the world really needs that right now because I feel like we don't have our own personal sovereignty. We're throwing it outside into the world and it's everyone's fault for how we're feeling inside. So self-worth and our value and our responsibility is placed outside of there and we just need to bring it home to ourselves and having that compassion with ourselves. Maybe we're getting triggered by something. Okay, well, let's work on that within ourselves. What is something that I need to work on? What is triggering within myself instead of what out there? So everything that you're doing, I think, just thank you so much and bringing this to the world and helping humanity become closer to who they were meant to be and to remember who we are and to in this lifetime to be the best possible versions of ourselves that we can be and maybe remember that spiritual aspect of ourselves that you can tap into when you are working with plant medicine or doing breath work or feeling we didn't even get into the Reiki, the beautiful holy fire of the Reiki energy. There's so much beauty and love out there. And thank you for being a facilitator of love.
oh, thank you. Thank you for being a facilitator of love.
Uh,
Everything that you do to spread these beautiful messages is incredible and so needed right now. So I'm so happy that I got to be a part of it.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're a part of it. And thank you for seeing that in me. That really means a lot. It really
Yeah.
means a lot. All right. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day. It's still early on your end. I've got peace out. I'm going to go for a walk after this one. It's 5:30 here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.